Hello, today is March 7th, 2025. I'm meeting today with Miss Arlene Carter at the Homelake Veterans Home in Monte Vista, Colorado. My name is Brad Hoops. I'm the interviewer for Remember and Honor. Thank you, Arlene, for sitting down today to tell your story. If we could, let's start out. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your date of birth, where you were born, a little bit about your family.
My name is Arlene Carter.
Is that your married name or maiden? What's your maiden name?
Oh, my maiden name? Oh, I should be proud. My maiden name was KRUCKENBERG.
KRUCKENBERG?
Mm-hmm. And both of my grandmas and grandpas, they came over from Russia. They
Are you Germans from Russia?
From Russia. And of course, that's a story by itself, how they came over through Ellis Island.
My mom is German from Russia, so yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I can't get my grandkids enthused about where I come from because they're part of me, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll come later. But they're in their early 20s. You think there'd be some.
Yeah.
It isn't happening yet.
Yeah. So was it your grandparents that migrated or your parents that migrated from Russia? Who came over?
Both my grandparents came over.
Okay, grandparents, okay.
In fact, my mother was the first one out of that family to be born in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. And so where were you born then?
I was born on a reservation. Well, the name of the reservation was Fort Berthold.
And that's in North Dakota?
That's in the northern part, the western part of North Dakota, by Dickinson area.
And was your father a farmer, or what was his occupation?
Well, when they came over, they needed wheat farmers. So they knew they were going to North Dakota. And my grandpa got 160 acres?
Yeah, yes, that was generally, yeah.
But there was no house, there was nothing. So there is a little remains of, maybe it's not there anymore, of the log house where I was born in that log house. But I got pictures. So it's, I don't know why I keep all that stuff. You know, we never had anything.
Yeah.
So when we got something, you hung on to it.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So I've been one of those kind of collectors.
Right. So you were born in 36? Mm-hmm. 1936.
Boy, you're good. You got a mathematical.
Yeah. What's your date of birth?
August 16th, 1936.
I imagine it was probably the tail end of it, but did the Dirty 30s affect that area at all? The Dust Bowl?
Oh, yeah, we had rations.
Oh, we'll get into the war area, but I'm talking about earlier with the Dust Bowl. And did your family ever talk about
that? Well, we lived out in the country. We very seldom.
Oh, okay, yeah. How many, did you have siblings? How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had one older sister and one younger sister.
Okay.
And one older brother.
Okay. Yeah.
So my older sister then was my brother, then it was me. And of course, if you're the middle child, you're being neglected and abused, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah. So you grew up on the farm. How far was school away for you, or what was school like?
Our house was down below, sort of in the valley, and the schoolhouse was up on the hill.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was right behind our house, and here was that hill. And guess what? We climbed it every day.
Every day to go to school, yeah.
Yeah, no matter how cold it was. It wasn't that far, but it was
steep.
Steep.
Yeah. Just the standard one-room schoolhouse, all grades, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, we had to help the teacher carry the coal in and bank the stove and and of course I couldn't speak English when I went to school.
Oh, so you grew up speaking German, huh?
Yeah. So what I was doing, because I wasn't doing well in school, so what I was doing when the teacher was talking English, I would try to know what it meant by converting it back to German.
Wow.
And anyway, the teacher must have caught on because she talked to my parents. She is doing this, and she says, I can't get her to stop. Well, when my parents found out, they knew how to stop it.
Yeah. Strict parents.
Yeah, it was. But it's been so many years, I don't even think about it anymore.
No.
Just like the light switch.
Yeah.
You know, we had to conserve on kerosene and all this good stuff. And now it's a switch or a push a button or everything is so automatic. And you know, I don't even think about how it was anymore.
Yeah. Well, when you look back, was it a hard life? I mean,
I don't think so. We were all in the same category.
Yeah.
Nobody was rich.
Yeah.
Everybody had the same things. You know, you graduated from the horse and wagon thing, and you got the the Model A or the Model T. And of course, my mother had to get out of the vehicle to open the gates, and you know. And then when we got big enough, we had to do it.
Yeah.
But it was so automatic.
Yeah.
You get up in the mornings and you do the chores, and you didn't have all that leisure.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine people today would look back on that and say, "Oh, that was such a hard life, working so hard. It wasn't easy."
We had fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Ice skating and horseback riding, and we did all, and we were outside all the time.
Yeah.
And we didn't have chores. We were outside playing.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
And
that's what I'm thinking. It was fun.
Well, good. That's.
We didn't have all these worries about that dang TV.
Right.
So I says, wouldn't that be nice to have a nice window looking outside instead of that TV? So I think that's why I'm really not a TV person.
Yeah.
If I have the TV on, it's the news. And I'm so tired of the news already. But I'm scared to watch a spooky one for fear I won't be able to go to sleep.
Oh, right. But you living on the farm, you had plenty of food and.
We had a big garden.
Oh, yeah.
We had milk cows. We had milk. We made our own butter. We had chickens. We had our own eggs. We just had all this stuff. You didn't have to go to the store.
Wow. Yeah.
And in the wintertime in North Dakota, you don't go no place.
Right. And your mom would make your clothes as well, or what would you do for clothing, or is that something you would shop for?
No. My mom, for Christmas, we always got a pair of pajamas for Christmas. We knew what we were getting. But I don't know. I don't know when there was Sears aerobic on Montgomery Road. I don't know when that started.
Oh, right, yeah.
But you couldn't get to town anyway.
Yeah.
And I know.
So how far out of town were you to the nearest town, probably?
It was on the reservation. I would say it'd be, I don't know why I'm thinking 24 miles.
Wow. And that would be Dickerson would be the biggest town close?
Oh, no, a little dumpy town.
Oh.
Dodge. But we could bring our cream in. We sold cream, we sold eggs into this little town. But you know what? Because of the weather and stuff, my mom learned how to make kuchen and all this stuff to use the eggs and the milk. And we went to school, and sometimes we would tell Mom, about this family. I says, they don't have anything in their lunch pail. So then when she learned that, she started making, what were they called? It was like a sandwich. And it had something in the middle, and then it was bread around it, or a bun.
Like a beer rock?
And you put it in the oven and you bake it.
Yeah, a beer rock?
Yeah.
Krautburger? Yeah.
So that she would send
Oh, wow.
some to school. But sometimes I thought we had too much.
Wow.
And then my mom used to say, well, we got pigs out there. They'll eat it. But isn't that something?
Yeah.
You make food and then you have too much.
Wow, wow. So now, after, so the one room school only went to like 8th grade, or
8th grade.
and then what did you do for there? Where'd you go then?
Where did I go then? We moved to this little town where we took our cream. And my dad was a wheat farmer, and he leased land, him and his brothers. And I don't know what happened with the leasing. But then we moved to town, and he got a job with the county.
Okay.
And we went to school in
and
town.
finished school there?
High school.
Okay.
After high school, my dad was, I don't know, he picked on me because I was the third child. But he knew what he was going to do with me, because right out of high school, he took me to the bank. And I borrowed some money so I could go to college. At that time, you went to the college in the summertime, and you could earn a permit to teach country school.
Oh, okay.
And he knew this one guy that was on the school board. I think that school was only 8 miles from the little town we lived in. The little town was called Dodge. And I got to teach school, but I didn't have all the grades. But I loved it.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
I loved it. But guess what? When it gets muddy, the roads weren't beautiful highways like
Yeah, right.
this.
Yeah.
So I got stuck more than once. My dad said, you get stuck the third time, I'm bringing a bed out to the school.
Oh, boy.
So guess what?
Oh, no.
I spent the nights at school. But then I got my work done. Driving home and helping mom and dad.
Right. But it had to be kind of lonely, I would think, out there, was it?
I don't think we ever got lonely.
Really, huh?
You know how some people, they say bored more than lonely.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember ever feeling I was lonely.
Oh, okay. Okay. How long then did you teach?
I taught that school that I was telling you about right outside of Dodge. 2 years.
2 years.
So every time school let out, I went back to college.
Oh, okay.
To earn the permit.
Okay.
But the next year, a certified teacher took my school away. So then I had to find a different school. But you get acquainted with the other schools in the district and stuff. So I found one right away. But it was even further away. But then I stayed with one of the students' parents. And that was nicer because they would take me and you got to see a little bit different. You met a few different people and I liked that.
Was it still the rule back then that teachers had to be single? Or could you?
Oh.
I know for a long time they would only hire single teachers. You couldn't be married. I was just curious if that was still a rule then, back in the day.
Oh, I don't know. In high school, the teachers were married. I guess I don't remember anything
Oh, okay.
like that.
Okay. And then how long did you teach at that school?
1 year.
1 year.
So here comes the superintendent. And the 7th and 8th graders had to take state exams. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So I taught review school for the 7th and 8th graders in the district. And I'm telling you, I was so scared that these kids weren't going to pass because I didn't even know what was going to be in the test. So I thought maybe this guy will bring them early, so I can snoop in them. He came right on time, and the kids were ready, and they took the test. But thank the good Lord they all passed. But that was it. And I told my dad, this is enough. I'm a young lady. I like to do the waltz and the polka. I like to roller skate. And I says, I'm missing out on all that stuff. And I'm still young and I'm still energetic. I want to.
Yeah.
So then I went to Bismarck looking for a job. Well, how can you be at these people's houses and run around looking for a job when they could be calling on the phone? And then I would get sort of aggressive, I guess. Because I said, what time would you be calling me? Would it be early afternoon, late afternoon? And of course they don't want to tell you nothing.
Yeah.
So that was a guessing game. But I stayed with these people. They were friends of my parents. I think I was there like 10 days and nothing happened. But before I left Bismarck, I walked by a recruiting station. And of course, I never thought ladies went into the service, but I learned. So one day I walked by there and here this Navy guy was out there. And he says, hello there, young lady. And we started talking. And I says, 4 years? I can't do 4 years. And then I don't know, but at the hospital I really thought there would be a chance for me to get a job at that hospital. I was close to the recruiting station. So anyway, here comes an army man out front of the door. And he says, I heard you talking to the Navy recruiter. We got a program, a 2-year thing. You got 2 years? I think I can do 2 years. Isn't that dumb? And so that's what started that. So they sent me to Fargo. I had a physical and I took the test and all this stuff. So that was spring of 1957. So I spent my birthday in basic training at Fort McClellan, Alabama.
Oh boy. How long after you enlisted before you shipped off for basic training? What was the gap roughly?
Well, I taught school for 3 years.
Well, I know, but after you talked to that Army recruiter and enlisted, how long then after that before you took off for basic training? Right away or?
June 7th.
Okay, yeah.
June 7th, that's when I was gone.
Wow.
I never had when I think about that though, I never had an airplane ride, right?
Well,
I read Uncle Tom's Cabin, and I thought, but when I got there...
That must have been culture shock for you. You must have been in shock.
And I thought, well, that must have changed by now, It isn't like that. But it was. So you get off the airplane, and you get on a bus. So we all run to the back. take a cat nap. We all had to come up front. The colored people sat in the back. And then you see the segregated stuff. And I mean, the blacks had their own place in the community. We were separated.
Yeah.
And I thought I says, Uncle Tom, that should be over with.
Yeah.
And I think I've been a people person forever. I just want to visit with anybody that will visit.
Well, you probably there was a lot of things going on there. One, you probably had never traveled. Bismarck was probably the furthest you'd been away from home.
Right on.
Here you moved from North Carolina or North Dakota to the south, and then thirdly, you went from civilian life into military life. So that had to be a huge adjustment for you during that time period.
And my dad, when I told my dad, he thought it was okay. But my mother, she didn't feel like that. So it was a sad time for my mother.
Was it? Yeah.
But I guess I was ready to do something different.
We were ready, but once down there, did you get any sort of homesickness, or were you just ready for a new adventure and ready to go?
I don't ever remember being homesick.
Oh, okay.
But it was a busy life at that time.
Yeah.
When you're in the country, you have chores morning and night and 7 days a week. And I couldn't speak English, so when I got home from school, I had an older sister and an older brother, and then I played school when I got out of school. So it was always a busy time.
Yeah.
And then when we weren't busy, we played hard.
Yeah.
We played hard.
Good.
So.
Yeah. Well, how was that for you going from that civilian life now into military life? Was that adjustment very hard for you? Once you were basic training. Well, how was basic training for you? I guess would be the question.
I was in trouble all the time.
Oh, were you?
So in the platoon, I don't know how many women we had in the platoon. It seemed like it was over 50 of us. But no matter what I did, it just seemed like it caused a problem.
Huh.
So anyway, right next to me, there was a colored girl on this side of me, her bed. Then there was me, and then we had this girl from the Philippines. And they couldn't, speak English, was broken. And there was a girl across the aisle from us. She would always make fun of them. And she was from Ohio. And that's my basic training picture right there.
Okay, we'll get that on the camera after the interview.
And I says, you know what? I've had it. They are my buddies. One on this side and one on this side. And I says, I've had enough. These girls have a right to be here. And you don't need to be that damn rude because your broken English isn't so great. And I took my pillow and I threw it at her. So there was a great big pillow fight. So guess what? I wound up in the latrine with a toothbrush.
Oh, no.
So every time at basic training, I never got to go out on the weekends.
Oh.
So then I had this gal, she was going to the PX. Can I bring you something? I says, bring me the biggest cigar they have. And stupid her, she did. So me and this gal from New York, I always think I'll never forget their names, but I do, I guess. But I could look it up. So she says, what the heck are you doing? I says, I ordered this big cigar and I'm going on the balcony and I'm going to puff. Guess what? There I was in the barracks again. Everybody was gone and I was doing detail. But it was always, I never got out once at Fort McClelland.
Wow.
But guess who was on the flag detail at the end? I was so popular being in trouble all the time, they wanted me to do the flag detail.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But I never cried, and even if you wanted to cry and you wanted to call Mama, I couldn't afford it. And my parents couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And at that time they had the party line. So even if you could afford it, you could never get through. So you accept it. I made the decision. Live it. I still feel that way. I think young people, once they make a decision, I don't think they should have all these excuses. I just don't think that should. Because if I had to make my own decisions, then I should live by my decision.
Yeah, good attitude.
Well, whatever.
Yeah. So you finished up basic training, and then take your story from there. Did you have a leave to come home, or did you go on to other training, or what was?
No, because I had a little bit of college, I got to go to school.
Oh, for some training school?
So I went to IBM school.
IBM school.
So of course I got my little diploma and all that stuff. They sent me to Chicago headquarters. It was really 5th MRU. But it was we stayed in a hotel. We were real close to headquarters, 5th Army headquarters, where we had when we weren't on the job, we lived in a hotel. We got on a bus in the mornings to go on the job. And it was by where they had the animals to ship them out.
Oh, the
feedlots.
Feedlots,
Ooh, it stunk.
Yeah.
But I barely got there, got settled and started doing the IBM cards. It was over. They got rid of the IBM cards with all the military personnel information. So then I says, wow, now I don't have a job. But they put me into a typing pool. Whoa, I got a nice letter. Top typist.
Yeah.
So there I was. But my 2 years was just about over. So in the 2 years I got schooling. I got a nice letter from my typing. And I was sort of satisfied. So when my time was up, I went back to Dodge. Well, that's good. Too far away from Bismarck. To get a job, you gotta live there.
Right.
And I don't know how long I messed around. But I already had a little bit of rank. So there was that time period, either go in and keep your rank, or get out and go in later. You start all over again.
And you had said when we were off camera that when you went back to Dodge, all your friends had married early and had kids, and so you just never really fit in. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Finally, I don't fit here, I don't fit there. I don't even think I fit in the military. I was always in trouble. But not enough so that they kicked me out, but that was fun. And that at those first 2 years I was in the Women's Army Corps. But it ended when my time was up. There was no more Women's Army Corps. So you enlisted, and you were in the U.S. Army.
So after your short period of time in Dodge, you decided to re-enlist. Yeah. Okay.
So I went back to Bismarck to see the same recruiter. And I was glad he was here. And I says, oh boy, I never thought. And I says, well, you know what? I think I would re-enlist, but I don't think I want to stay in the United States. I think I want to. Oh, they had a big WAC. Company in Japan.
Mm.
See, now, Okinawa.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Okinawa. And I says, I want to really try for overseas. Well, that never happened. But it's better. So here there was, and I went to Camp de Loge, France.
Oh.
Right outside of Paris.
Oh, nice. Were you able to keep your rank from your...
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it was a top secret control section. And I was in a cage. I think there was 8 men. I was the only girl. And I mean, it was a cage. And see, I must have been rowdy or feisty or I don't know. But my job was, you take a document, and my boss was a warrant officer. So in the mornings my desk was loaded with top secret documents. And all I did was take a section out, a sentence, or maybe even a word, take it out, and you had to type it, what you took out. And then there were some where you had to take some parts of it to the incinerator. Yeah, it was very... And you know, you never read the document to know what it was about.
Yeah.
Because all you did was take pieces out of there.
Did you have to get a top secret clearance for that job?
Oh.
Did they send like FBI agents back to Dodge?
My mom and dad said.
Yeah.
And you know, my mom, everything was scary to her.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You know. Yeah. In that little town of Dodge, everybody in little town of Dodge knew that the FBI was looking for me.
You're right, yeah.
But then they put it in the paper, the Bismarck paper, a picture of me, and they explained the thing, so it was. And then, and everybody questioned it, and I did too, because we were Germans from Russia.
Right, yeah.
So how did I get the job?
Interesting.
But I'll tell you, the warrant officer, then my commander was, his name, Houseman. And he had a helicopter license. So he had to fly to keep his license. So this is the part I liked. Anyway, there was a scrabble at the office. 'Cause I was the only girl. We had a coffee pot. Guess who was... So then, I don't know what happened. And I says, okay guys, I'm in the U.S. Army. We're equal.
Wow.
And I said, if you don't bring your cups to the sink, it doesn't get washed. And then I says, and if you don't start putting 25 cents into the jar a week, I'm not going to the commissary to buy the coffee. We're equal. I did it last week. And I got pretty feisty.
Good for you.
Anyway, it was fun.
Yeah. How long were you stationed over in France then?
3.5 years.
Really?
I re-enlisted for 3 years, but I didn't want to go back to the States. I liked it. And so then they extended me only for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And guess what? They sent me back for 6 months in Yuma, Arizona.
Oh. Well, now, while you were over in France, were you able to get out and travel around around Europe?
Oh, I didn't finish telling my husband, my commander, he had to keep his license.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he had to go someplace every week. So he took me, and then he says, you know, Arlene, I don't know why I'm asking you, but I am. He says, you find one of your best friends, and I'll take you to Mallorca, Spain. So I got to see Mallorca. I got to go see Marilyn Monroe
Wow.
in London. I got to see the Berlin Wall.
This little farm girl from middle of nowhere, North
Just
Dakota.
what my son says,
Yeah.
a little farm girl. Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't want to go back. I wanted to stay.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I wound up. There I was again. Go back to Dodge, North Dakota.
So what was it like
Enlistment
for
was over.
what was it like for you in Yuma? What was that experience like?
Well, I never worked in any of my MOSs
Oh, really?
while I was there, and that sort of upset me. But the thing was, they offered me different things, but they wanted me to re-enlist. But they didn't offer the job to me for only a 6-month tour.
Yeah.
And they put me right into something, personnel. Come on, give me something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it. But then I worked in personnel for 6 months. Never liked it.
And that made your decision to get out of the service then, or?
No, get me the hell out of Yuma.
Oh, yeah.
It was called the Yuma Testing Station.
Yeah. Middle of the desert here. What's amazing is, like I said, there's a little farm girl from North Dakota that really probably never. Bismarck was a major trip. Now I'd been to the South, the big city of Chicago, to Europe, all over Europe, the desert, you know.
And then what happened after that? Oh, I went back to North Dakota, of course, and my time was slipping away. If you mess around too long, you're going to lose your rank and all that. So I went back to Bismarck, I went. And here's that same damn recruiter.
So this is the third time you went back?
So we visited. And I says, well, I want to go back to overseas. No, he says, you just come back. You have to stay so long in the States before you're eligible to do that. So I says, well, find me something then. It wasn't long after that, and he calls me and he says, I got the perfect job for you. Okay, what is it? How would you like to be at the recruiting mean station in Fargo, North Dakota? That's independent living. But I think I made a mistake when I took it.
Oh, is that right?
Now that could be what you say, lonely.
Yeah.
Because the recruiting station, there was no place where you really met, you were at work and you didn't even know who you worked with. There was no camaraderie. Is that how you say it? So then, I did something stupid again. I bought a brand new car. But I couldn't afford the payments. Because I found an apartment. It was a very small little apartment. It was in the basement. And I could afford that, right? But then I bought this damn car. Here are the people I was renting this apartment from. They put their house up for sale. And it sold.
Oh, no.
So guess what? Boy, I was working out at the drive-in slicing onions, and I got a part-time job at the cleaners, and I got at the library. I thought, ooh. But I did it.
Now, how long were you up in Fargo then? Roughly.
I think I was in Fargo, North Dakota. Oh, and then I met the sergeant. And I can't remember what. He says, there's an opening in Minneapolis, a recruiting station. There's an opening. Stupid Arlene goes there for an interview. Guess what?
Uh-oh.
She takes the job. I had to pay $1 a day to park my car.
Well, $1 a day, a lot of money back then.
Well, I tried very hard. Oh, and then I finally, the Navy recruiter there, her and I, we got to be buddies. So then she says, well, what we should do is take turns. 1 week you drive and 1 week, and do it that way. That way that cuts down that $1 thing. But I never, and to find apartment to rent was difficult. And it was expensive, way more expensive than Fargo.
Yeah.
But I did it. So I was a recruiter. I was running around in the wintertime. Minneapolis was just as cold as you know what. But the only thing I knew how to do was to get out of that thing. I went to school in Indianapolis as a career counselor.
Oh, wow.
Boy, did I pick recruiting. That was so. But I went and they sent me to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, where they had a big WAC detachment. And I became a career counselor. So there was enough girls there that I could visit with to re-enlist. So I would call Washington, D.C. to find out what schools were available, when they started, and then I did my big propaganda thing. And I never enjoyed it.
No.
Then what did I do?
How long were you down in Fort Sill?
That's when I met my husband.
Oh.
That's when I met my husband. And we got married. And you know what the Army did? And I think that's when Vietnam started.
Oh.
And before I knew it, I was on orders to go to Fort Shafter, Hawaii. And there I sat again, really not having a job. But then when it did happen, I liked it. It was investigation leads. So when them guys came back from R&R, it was a sad thing. There were groups of soldiers that were happy and laughing, and then there was this other group, they were sad. And here I was doing investigation leads where it could have been one of them guys that I was checking out to see what happened. But I didn't like to see the bloody pictures
Yeah.
and do that stuff.
So did that assignment, did that separate you and your husband then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just about time for me to get out.
Ah.
So there was none of this re-enlist or anything. But then I became a farmer's wife.
Oh, is that right? Full circle, huh?
And he was from North Dakota.
Really? Huh? What was his name?
Jim
Jim.
Craven. Craven. And we were married 45 years.
Wow.
He died in 2006. And then my son grabbed me. And he was worse than my husband's. Come on, Mom. And then My husband died in 2006, and in 2008, his job was in Kauai, an island off of Hawaii, or Guam, and he asked me to come and visit. And I did. Man, I liked it. The whole base. They were walking around in shorts, sloppy t-shirts, thongs. They never had a tie on because the weather was that kind of weather. And I says, I could stay here forever. And you know what? They didn't have any stores on this island. Nothing that would want you to stay there.
Yeah.
But I think if you were walking around and people were out there cooking, so many people invited you to come over and have a hot dog or something to drink. So you know what? I liked it. I really liked it. But I could only stay 90 days.
So your son was in the service then? Or it was a civilian job that had him down there?
A civilian
job.
Okay. But he too was like me when he was young. Because we lived in Powell, Wyoming. And I used to tell my mom, I'm going to get the hell out of here.
Is that where Jim was from Powell? Oh no, he's from North Dakota. How'd you end up in Powell?
Because I got married. Let's see what happened. I didn't get out right away.
Yeah.
I was still in. When I met him in Texas, on my way to Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
And he had a butcher shop. He had the butcher shop thing with another guy, a partner. And when he met me, he thought he needed more money to take care of him. So he went into the oil field. So I hardly ever, and then I got pregnant, and when Monte started school, that was the end of following the rigs, and I didn't like going to the rigs. But I did. But when Monte went to school, I stayed back with Monte so he could go to school. Then I went to school under the GI Bill. That's a different story too. It was a good thing.
Oh, good. Yeah, certainly tell that.
Oh, then and I opened my own business. I'll tell you what. Here's my husband. He's gone all the time, so I thought I would get me a job. Well, do you know what? Here I had all this work experience. I got my business degree. And you know what I heard all the time? You're overqualified. You're overqualified. So then I went to job service, and that guy he lived in Powell. Isn't that something? And he says, you know what, Arlene? I'm going to get you a job. Yeah, when? But it happened, and it happened to be in Cody. And it was a part-time job. But I'll tell you, I liked it. And the lady that owned it, she lived in Coeur d'Alene. But where the job was in Cody, Wyoming. So there I had this job. The boss was in Coeur d'Alene. Oh. But anyway, my husband worked for a Canadian rig, and they sold out the rigs. No job. So then I called my boss, And I says, well, you know, this is getting pretty difficult. But I says, would you help me if I'd open an office in Powell, Wyoming, a copy center? And she says, oh, Arlene, that would help me. It would help her and it would help me. So it took 4 months before we agreed. But she let me use self-service copiers for 6 months for free and would service the copiers. And then I went to the bank. Oh no, once the rig sold, my husband got $25,000. So then we got a big copy. And our rent was very, very cheap. Thank the good Lord. But I really sweated out. I thought, man, we're not going to make it. But then I met up with the UPS guys, and I says, how do I take in packages? Well, I'll send you somebody tomorrow. So here the boss from UPS comes, you want to take in UPS? I says, I got to have some cash flow.
Yeah.
So then that opened the door because everybody had to mail something.
Right, wow.
But my husband, he just spoiled them. They would just bring the stuff in, not in a box, not taped up, nothing. And my husband would be going down the alley picking up empty boxes out of the trash. And then you had to have a scale. Well, the lady that did the scale, I don't know what kind of job she had, but we had an old scale out in the barn because my husband was a farmer to weigh the grain. And she says, bring it in, it might work. So that old scale, you had those little weights, and brought it in, and she came in, she says, well, let's set some stuff on it. You're good.
Yeah. Wow.
So then, you know, you save this money, but everybody would laugh when they brought a package. Yeah.
How long did you have that business then?
Monte went into the Navy in 1989. 1989 till 1996, my husband got cancer.
Oh, why?
So it was a have-to thing.
Yeah, right.
But again, sometimes I think I had guardian angels all around me, because when he was in Salt Lake City for a long, long, long time, and I was flying back and forth, and I says, I can't do both.
Yeah.
I can't do both. And sold it quickly.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
But now when you talk about loneliness, I think that's when I felt loneliness. Sold the business. I couldn't stay in Salt Lake City. I had to come home because my husband was a farmer. He had cows out in the pasture. Now that was lonely.
And Monte was off in the service. And
Monte, right out of, well, he did an early enlistment thing. Or what do you call it?
delayed entry.
So right out of high school, he went into the Navy.
Yeah. So everybody, your husband's in Salt Lake, he's in the Navy. Yeah, I can see where he'd be lonely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't. Anyway, something. Well, we decided to move back to North Dakota. We moved back to North Dakota in 1999.
back to the Dodge area, or where did you?
The Dodge area.
Really? Yeah.
And my husband got this little farm, 20 acres, with a nice big barn and corrals, and we were right back into the...
Yeah.
But he was happy.
Were you? Were you happy to be back, or?
I was still being lonely, I think. You know,
Yeah.
that little town Dodge didn't have nothing to
Yeah.
offer.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
just to go to the grocery store was 18 miles. No, I was not.
Yeah. And you lived there until he passed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's buried at Veterans Cemetery in Mandan. And I only got to go back one time.
Hmm.
And then I went back last summer.
Yeah,
and
you were saying, yeah, it was a hard trip. Yeah.
It didn't work. But anyway, I told Monte, I says I need to be with people more my age. But I knew when I came here it would be all men. So I don't know if I'm lonely or not. But I like to walk.
Yeah, that's what everybody here says. You're always out walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know how long I'll be able to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Because I got fibromyalgia.
Oh boy, oh.
But I want... So is it a good story?
Yeah, it's an incredible story, yeah. So you just had the one son, Monte, and how many grandchildren?
Two.
Two.
Jasmine and Kaya. Jasmine is 24 and Kaya is 22. And they both have part-time jobs and they're going to college. And they are both driving, and that house, nobody's at home anymore because
Yeah.
it's in office now. And my son, I think, but he thought when he had to go back into the office, he would be the unhappiest person. Guess what? He says it feels good to be. So it's all okay.
Well, good. Well, Arlene, as we've sat here, is there any, as we start to wind down this interview, is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about, or any other stories that have kind of floated to the top as we've been sitting here that you want to tell about, or do you think we've pretty much done a pretty well-rounded version of your story?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm sure that when we talk about Chicago, they must know about the dirty streets, and
Yeah.
so we don't need to
Yeah.
go in. But there were scary times.
Yeah. No,
Well, every place has a scary time.
Well, I think I know the answer to this, but the last question I always ask in these interviews, as you look back on your time in the service, do you look at it as just a chapter in your life, or did it play a major role, change your, or affect your life at all? How would you answer that?
I think I grew up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it wasn't that easy. You still had that childhood days when, when I was growing up, I liked baseball and I liked basketball.
Oh, wow.
I think that's what kept me in high school. So that's the first thing I did when I go there. Are there enough girls there that we can have a team? And you know, in France that happened while I was stationed.
Oh,
in
really?
France.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And that was 3.5 years.
Would you travel around to other bases to play?
Yeah.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah.
I'll be...
But once I came back to the States,
Yeah.
that changed.
Wow.
But I was older too. It was decision time. You know, you're at this age, you have to decide, are you making it a career? What are you doing? And I was always looking for schools. I says, I just wish I could find a school that I could really get lost in a job.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But I know working alcoholics. I know them. But I was single. then I met the man of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And then the baby came.
Yeah.
And then you lived his life.
Yeah.
You didn't have a life
Sure.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Arlene, I want to thank you for sitting down to tell your story today. But just as important, I want to thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, this is my mom and dad, John and Olga KRUCKENBERG. In the center is my sister Verna. The three below is my brother Norman, me Arlene, and my younger sister Alice.
Oh, very nice.
And this is me, Arlene. That's when I was young, maybe.
Go ahead, Arlene.
Oh, that's me right there. And here's my name down here, KRUCKENBERG.
Now, this is your basic training class?
Basic training.
Yeah. Let me zoom in on you here.
Oh, am I supposed to keep on doing it?
Go ahead. And this is your husband, Jim?
Yep.
Okay. And this is Monte here?
This is Monty's basic training when he graduated.
Okay, and this is your son's...
Jim and me, Arlene, and our son, Monty. That is a family picture of my son and his wife and his two daughters. Jasmine.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Kaya. My granddaughters.
Yeah.